Hello there gorgeous gamers and welcome back to Pure Play TV, and we're doing a review for The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 on PSVR 2. It's been out for a while now, but with the new Rick and Michonne TV series being out, it seems a little more relevant and topical, so let's get on with it. Chapter 2 picks up basically where the first game left off. After a big showdown between the human factions at the end of Chapter 1, Chapter 2 sees you, the nameless tourist, caught in something of a pickle, and that's putting it nicely. But the chances are you've already played the first game, so you're already trained in the art of taking out walkers, which kind of numbs the shock value in the game's opening sequence that has you pushing through an infested hotel and out into the relative safety of the southern sun. If you've played the original game, you already know what to expect going in, but don't assume too much. While this is a direct continuation, there are some changes, which in my opinion work in the game's favour, though I can see why they wouldn't be for everybody. Where the first game put a focus on trying to avoid combat to reserve ammo to collect every available scrap of crap littering the world, Chapter 2 kind of pushes you the other way. Yes, resource gathering is still a key part of the game and necessary to upgrade your skills and toolset, and at times it does behoove you to take a more reserved approach, especially where humans are concerned, because they are, as every piece of zombie media has made clear, the real plague of this planet. But on the other hand, it feels like Chapter 2 takes off some of the restraints of the first game by assuming you're already familiar and giving you instant access to some decent firepower without having to go scrounging around for a bit of metal. Open gunplay is often the most enjoyable route towards success, even if it's not always the most effective, but given the game's punchy gunplay and robust physics-based melee combat, it's always good fun. Getting into a shootout with a few of them filthy humans never fails to get me going, though I do try and keep the walkers at bay when possible because they are revolting and at times genuinely terrifying. Imagine a situation where you're low on ammo, low on health, your backpack is full of random crap that you've been hoarding around in the hope they'll be useful back at camp, and then a half dozen walkers turn the corner. You turn around to leg it the other way, only to find a half dozen more. Yeah, it's scary stuff, much more so than the first game. Now you will notice in this review for Chapter 2, I'm referring to the first game quite a lot, and there's a good reason for that. It's not just me being a lazy writer. It's because this is basically the first game again, but with the addition of a few new locations, weapons, and gameplay features, mostly quality of life stuff. If you played through the tourist's debut, then you'll be familiar with many of the locations that you'll travel to throughout Chapter 2. It's the same setting, and as the story continues from where Chapter 1 ended, it does make sense, but there is that feeling of, was this DLC at one point? At least that was my experience during the opening hours, but as you get through the game, meeting more characters, establishing working relationships between factions, and learning who can and cannot be trusted in this dark world, it's clear that this isn't a cheap and nasty sequel making a lunge for your money. The writing is great and the characters are believable with their own motivations, issues and goals. The gameplay is mostly the same, though it does feel a touch more refined. Still, I suppose from the get-go there was a big difference in how the game started. The first chapter had you coming in green with no gear, whereas Chapter 2 decks you out ready to paint the town red with the blood of walkers and your human enemies. And of course the game looks great too, with a comic book inspired art style that allows for a degree of realism while staying just far away enough that it's not too gory. Most of all though, it's fun. It's compelling and the story had me hooked, and it provided a few scares along the way. The big bad, the Axeman, is a chilling villain, and my first meeting with him, where I turned around and he was suddenly stood there behind a panel of glass, made me physically jump in my seat. You'll still have to make tough decisions, in true The Walking Dead fashion, and even though I've only had one complete playthrough, I'm not sure I'd get through to the end after 10 playthroughs without feeling at least a little bit crap for some of the things I'd have to do to get there. There are some downsides, mind you, and they're mostly story related. While I did enjoy the continuation, some parts felt a bit too rushed, and without going into spoiler territory, a couple of the payoffs felt more like a penny in my pocket than a wad of notes in my hand. There are also the unfortunate technical problems, which haven't been such a big problem for me, but I have had a couple of crashes, losing a fair amount of mission progress, which is annoying. Then there was the random spawning of walkers, which sent my nerves into overdrive. I'm a wimp. I thought I was safe, but then I turn around and boom, a couple more of the buggers have appeared out of nowhere, which can catch you off guard, and again, feel a bit cheap if you succumb because you used your last couple of bullets to survive the encounter you thought was over. Even with its fairly minor flaws, I've not come across anything game-breaking, so I consider it all minor. There's no reason not to revisit this world if you enjoyed the first game. It's a little bigger with a few new areas to explore, it's a lot scarier, with the power of the PS5 allowing more walkers to shuffle towards you if you're not careful. But crucially, it's also a lot more fun, and you can really feel like a badass zombie slayer, and until the next COVID variant starts turning people into zombies, it'll do. And that is the end of this review. Thank you for watching, it's always appreciated. And if you enjoyed this video and want more, do us a solid and hit the like and subscribe buttons below, and give the bell icon a ding too. Also check out our new website, pureplaytv.com. I've been Chris, you've been gorgeous, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, cheers my dears.